All right. Good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about mishandling the offer process, which is a huge importance to us. So the last time we did multiple offer presentations, I worked more on how to win them from the buyer side, tips and tricks on how you can get your clients win the bid, basically, at the end of the day. We're going to focus on the other side now from the listing side, how you can handle them appropriately so that you don't get into trouble, because it's a huge thing. There's tons of complaints that I've seen come through on agents who have mishandled the offer presentation, right? So it's important today that we talk about this from like a live perspective. So if you guys have encountered anything in your own offer presentations, you can let me know. I invited Julie here today to just sit so we can go back and forth and kind of think of different scenarios that had happened, because not everything has happened to me, but I'm going to try and think of all the different things that have happened so we can go over them. You guys cannot fall into the same pitfall, right? So Julie, you can start off. But what is the biggest thing that you've had when you're doing your back and forth with your offer presentation that you've noticed?
So as a listing agent or cooperating agent?
As either or is fine. You know what I mean? Like if you have something as a co-op agent and you want to talk about it, let's do that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Any pitfall that you can talk about.
Pitfall, right?
Yeah. Something that happened, something you want to make sure that they watch out for.
Okay. What's it for?
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, this one. So some positive things I'm going to talk about, and then we can go for it. So when we are going for an offer presentation, right? So last time, Christina brought a really a good point that we send it at the last minute, where I failed. Sometimes I like to do things early, so I have sent it early. So that's a good point she brought in. But when I'm going for an offer presentation, right? So I always look for things, some positive things where I don't fall down. So one thing, always I write a good one.
Yeah.
About the
like a story or an email.
These clients are very good. They are pre-approved. They have a good deposit, and they sold the house. They are ready to move, and kind of a thing. I just write to them. That is one thing I do. Number two, always I talk to the agent and ask them, like, okay, is there a motive that they're trying to sell the property? Is there something that we can work on it? So early closing, something, a catch
to make them like your client. Yeah.
Then I just focus on that. Number two.
Right.
And also, the other thing, what I do is closing date. I see, and the deposit. I always tell them, the buyers, they don't want to put the deposit, right? Yeah. So I always tell, even though they have 100,000, they are saying they are holding on like 50,000.
Yeah.
Right. Is it too loud?
I don't know. Maybe the camera will pick it up.
Okay. So it's like a 50,000. So I tell them more deposits is better for us, right?
Exactly. It looks stronger.
Stronger. So I put the deposit more. And also, if I lose the bidding war, right? If the agent sends me, I always say, thank you for letting me know. I wish you all the best. I always do that.
Amicable at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Sometimes you don't win all the time. Sometimes you lose.
Exactly.
So I tell my clients also, sometimes they think it's the buyer's fault. It's the agent's fault that we didn't get it, right? Sometimes they think it's the agent who didn't work at it, right? So, and also I always tell them, we will lose sometimes. I prepare them. We will lose sometimes. Be prepared for that. I always tell them. So they are aware of that. Otherwise, they think the agent. And also in a multiple situation, I'm an agent. I don't throw 100 through 1,000 more. I never throw, because if the situation changes, if they can't get the appraisal, we won't be able to close the door. So I'm an agent. I'm not an emotional agent. And also they always say, don't calculate the commission before we get it. Some people, so I always focus, no, I have to do the right thing. So I don't throw, like if that property is value 950, I would go. Otherwise, I don't really throw, because end of the day, I want to close the deal. And I have failed many times, as she says, right? People have used my offer to work with the others. Where Christine said before, I have sent it early. And I trusted one agent. She said, oh, send me, we can work together. I sent it early. But she used mine and helped the other one. Right. So I have seen the agents helping the other agents. I have seen that too.
For sure. Absolutely.
So I have failed in that way too.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes when the other agent asks, we are trying to be too good and we tell everything.
Yeah.
And then we end up not getting.
Mhm.
So we shouldn't tell one thing that they are going to sell to buy this property.
Yes,
Okay, we have to be very careful. Then the agent thinks, oh, if it does
I'll
not
use
sell,
it against them.
against them. So
Yeah.
these are the tips just to be aware of, not to tell everything, but to tell the positive,
Mhm.
and just to keep,
For sure.
yeah.
No, that's good. Those are all good points.
Yeah.
And it's a really good point that Julie was bringing up. So if you you worry about the appraisal from the buyer end, but you should worry about it as a listing agent too, because you still want the deal to close.
That's right.
So very often I'll ask my people if I know everything's selling for 940 and someone sends me an offer for 960. Yeah, it's great for my clients, but you definitely want to ask those buyer agents, is your client able to make up this difference if the appraisal doesn't come in? You have to be aware of that situation so you don't get your seller into that pitfall for sure, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go and share the screen and open up the agreement of purchase and sale so you guys can follow along a little bit. Thank you so much, Julie. That was really good. And like I say, if you guys want to share anything during this thing, you can just let me know. I'm just going to go over things that I've noticed and I've seen that different people have fallen into that trap. And then hopefully we can avoid that, right? So let me just go in, oops, here. I'm gonna go open up my multiple offers. And we'll open up the agreement of purchase and sale. Okay, so everybody can see that now online. You just highlight my mouse here. Okay, so we know the basics of filling out the agreement of purchase and sale, right? But I find a lot of times when things go back and forth, things get quite confusing. And I notice a lot of other agents, you know, not from other offices that I'm working with, make a lot of mistakes, right? So I just want to make sure that all our agents are not doing that, because we want to be smart agents working smart here, right? So a couple things that go back and forth. So first of all, as the listing agent, I want to just stress one thing. You are going to be collecting offers, right? During the day, you're going to be asked, how many offers do you have? And you're going to need to answer that properly. You need to know how many offers you have registered, okay? If the office is open, you should be asking them to call the office and register, so the office can also answer that question when they're getting phone calls, because a lot of agents will call into the secretaries at the front and say, hey, how many offers on 123 Main Street, right? So if the office is closed, you guys need to know how to page things out. If you don't, I'll go through Broker Bay with you guys and show you how to do a page out for your listing. Or if we have some time, I'll get one of you to log in, whoever has a live listing right now, and I'll show you how to page it out. You need to be doing that on a consistent basis. You need to be just saying, thank you so much for showing 123 Main Street. I'd like to let you know there's one offer registered, 2 offers registered as they're coming in. You need to be sending this to anybody who has booked an appointment, shown the property, or shown interest in sending you an offer, right? So if you go into Broker Bay, anybody, even if they haven't physically shown the property yet, if they booked an appointment in there, they will be in there, and you can do a mass page to everybody, which I can show you guys. So then as you go along, you're going to decide to work back and forth with a few offers, right? One of the things I see is that when you're changing the price here and the wording for the price, it's going back and forth, and you're changing that price a couple of times with people. What you need to do is, if they've sent you 4 improved offers and they've crossed that out 4 times, everybody needs to realize that the number of changes has to match the number of initials. So I know that they may have sent you 1 improved offer, 2 improved, 3, and then finally you've decided to take that offer and your client is going to sign it. If it has been changed 3 to 4 times, you have to make sure that each one is initialed. Okay, because you've decided to work with this one. Very often they're just crossing it out and sending it to you. You're taking maybe the top 3, or you're letting everybody have a second round and you're getting it back. When you go to actually sign that, you have to initial every single change that has happened. So that's definitely one of the big mistakes I see. People just initial it once, even though it's been crossed 2 or 3 times. It's actually not correct. Okay. The next thing I see is that as it goes back and forth between buyer and seller, you guys have to be mindful that you're changing the irrevocable. It has to go back and forth between buyer and seller accordingly. So if the buyer is sending you an approved offer, it has to cross off and say buyer. If they haven't done that, you have to cross off, put buyer, and then cross again and put seller as a listing agent for your offer to be correct. Again, this has to change as many times as you're changing the offer. So if the price has changed 3 times, this should say buyer, seller, buyer 3 times, right? While the time and the date do not change necessarily, because it might be all within that time. You want to share, Mary? you have to make sure that your acceptance is matching your irrevocable. So does everybody understand this fully? If the irrevocable here says buyer, the acceptance on page 5 should say seller, should be by the seller. So this line here, confirmation of acceptance on the signature or seller or buyer. The reason this says seller or buyer is because it has to be the opposite of what the irrevocable is, always, okay? So if the buyer has sent you and it's gone back and forth and they haven't properly changed that, and the seller has sent back, okay, this is the price I want here, and they've put it on the irrevocable, and the seller accepts, it's not a good document, right? It has to be the opposite always. Another thing you have to be mindful is it has to be within the irrevocable time, right? So if you've gone back and forth all night, everybody's made theirs, you know, irrevocable by 11:59 p.m. and you've taken long because you got 15 offers and now it's 12:30, you have to make sure that you're changing that, initialing it and accepting it within the proper time. Okay, if your bidding war has extended beyond that time. Okay. The next thing I know, and I think we touched on it when we talked about pitfalls on Thursday, was we had to make sure this completion date is a weekday, right? Not only a weekday, we have to make sure it's not a holiday, right? So we have to make sure it's not falling on a holiday Monday or, you know, Good Friday or something like that. Even though we make sure it's a weekday, right? On the chattels included. So we touched on this again a little bit. You have to be specific and you have to make sure that everything, the items that are included are specific. First of all, like we were talking about taking model numbers or at least, you know, a little bit of better description of what the appliance is, whether it's a stainless steel Maytag fridge, right? 2-door fridge or something like that. Very often you'll see something is not included or as is, they don't put that in the offer properly. You have to make sure that it's written here as is, or, you know, or in the exclusion if it's not included, right? And then the rental items. So I actually came across this very recently, as in last night. My purchaser just closed and he told me, hey, I got a bill and there's all these rentals on it. So I called the listing agent last night because here we go, we've gone back and forth, we won the bid and they put hot water tank, which is correct. The hot water tank is a rental, but he got a bill and there's also a water softener. There's about 5 other things: a water softener, the furnace, something else to do with the water purifier system or something like that, a humidifier. You know, there's about 5 other rental items on there that were not disclosed to him. So we called back the listing agent and she's going to speak to the sellers today, because now we have to decide whether, you know, what's going to happen, who's at fault. Maybe they're going to pay it for a number of months. Maybe they could buy it out, because my purchaser is going, what the heck's going on? It was only a hot water tank, right? So you have to be really, really mindful, especially as a listing agent, because if you're not protecting your client, you have to save them. A lot of times they don't even realize it, that they have other additional rentals on there. I normally ask for a utility bill, right? Because we're able to see is like NPure or Reliance or something on there in addition to the gas, right? You can see if there's additional rentals on there, because we're supposed to be doing our due diligence to make sure we're disclosing this to any purchasers. So here we go. I, you know, didn't do anything wrong. I asked, we said it's a hot water rental, great. But now my purchaser's got this bill and there's a whole other laundry list of rental items on there, right? So it's definitely something big that you have to watch out for. Again, we're going to go over to title search. Title search, again, just like the closing date, has to be a weekday, cannot be a holiday, usually about 2 weeks before closing, right? So this is very often forgotten to be changed. I see this a lot. So I have a bid, I've collected 15 bids. We've decided to work with this one. It's gone back and forth. And we like it because they can change their closing dates, because my client wants something really quick. So they've changed it, but they haven't made sure they've gone and they've changed their title search. So you have to be mindful that you don't fall into that pitfall. If you're changing your completion date, you have to change your title search accordingly, right? A lot of agents aren't thinking of that when I see that the offers go back and forth. I see they change the completion, but they don't change the title search, right? The clauses, oh, one more thing before the clauses. So this is another one I see very often. Very often, the first time I get an offer, they've gone and they've signed the acknowledgement, right? The acknowledgement section is not to be signed until you have an accepted and completed offer, okay? So Do not get your clients to sign this the first time around. It's incorrect because as you can see, it says, I acknowledge receipt of my signed copy of this accepted agreement of purchase and sale, right? This is not signed until your confirmation of acceptance is signed, okay? Very often I'm collecting offers and I see them all coming in first round and I haven't even reviewed them and the acknowledgement is signed. Yes, it's easier for you to get your client to sign it there just in case, so you don't have to go back to them after the fact, but everything is e-signature these days. It's not insurmountable and you guys should not be signing this acknowledgement prior to the offer being accepted, right? So again, in the clauses section now, I would just go to the clauses section and I would say, read all your clauses carefully. Very often I've come across an offer and because I read everything, even if it looks, it's so easy just to go, okay, this offer is conditional on fine. Okay, that's a financing clause. Offer is conditional on inspect. Okay, that's an inspection. But definitely read through the clauses because sometimes people won't put the regular 3 or 5 days in there. Sometimes it's a 10 and you're going to miss it, right? Or sometimes they're making the cost of something on your seller when it shouldn't be, right? Or making them promise something that they don't need to. So you have to make sure you're reading to see how many days things for conditional clauses and who's responsible for what, okay? Very often the verbiage looks really quick and we're skimming over it, but people are tricky and they will change wording to like very regular clauses. And I've caught it lots and lots of times before. You also have to be making sure you're doing all your disclosures and your as is items in your clauses, right? Anything that you've, disclosed to them, like the buyer agrees that the seller has disclosed that there was an unnatural death in the property, right? We definitely want to put those things in our schedules, make sure we're not forgetting them, right? Like I said, we recently had a deal that went back and forth over the weekend, and Monday come to sign, we went to go do a clean new offer and there was a clause missing in there. But we ended up eating our commission on the deal was the truth of the matter because it was our fault at the end of the day, right? So it was an HST rebate clause that we missed, right? Because it's a new build. So we're going back and forth over the weekend, and it got real messy because they went back and forth about 6 times on price. And then they sent a clean copy on Monday and we forgot to insert that clause after all of the back and forth edits. Yeah. So you guys have to be really mindful, even if you're, seasoned agent, you just have to go back, take a few minutes. It'll save you so much going forward if you just read over your clauses carefully and make sure that you're not forgetting everything, that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, like they say, right? So that, yes, Julie, what's up?
So the natural death, right? I have a question.
For sure.
So what happens if there's a natural death and we have disclosed verbally to the agent and we have not put it the offer? So what happens?
So the question is, what happens if they disclose verbally? The problem with that is how are you going to prove that? If that goes to the lawyers and they say that was never disclosed, how are you going to prove that you disclosed it?
Even you can send an email.
You could send an email, but the thing is that their client is not signing off on the email. So then they can take it further and say, you told my agent, but my agent didn't tell me, right? So I know it seems like, okay, it's a natural death. What's the big deal? But like when we talked about stigmatized properties and stuff like that, it could bother people. Like some people don't want to go, even if it was a natural death or unnatural death. Some people don't care, but some people it really bothers. So I would disclose it to you. Like I say, I wouldn't put it up on your listing. You're not trying to kill like the livelihood of your listing. You want your listing to go well, but I definitely would disclose at that time, just saying, the person passed in their home, but it was a natural death, and you can just put a little clause in and get the person to initial it. Yeah.
Because what happened was another particular, the foundation was cracked.
Right.
She put it on MLS, right?
Right.
And then we noticed people that offer, my clients were okay with that because they are well to do. So they were, when that mortgage comes down, they were ready to pay that amount. So we were okay.
Right.
But later on, like normally if there is a mortgage somebody's trying to get, when we are putting it on the offer, it's going to affect them. Right. So in that case, just to, we want the deal to get done. And so
yeah, I know it is a catch-22 because like I know we're trying to make the banks happy and make the appraisals go through and let the mortgages close and stuff like that. But then again, if we don't do these disclosures, what if the buyer comes back on your seller, right?
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a catch-22. I know we have to be careful. Like I say, listings are big, right? Like if you put it on your listing, I know it affects a lot of the bank approvals and stuff like that. That's why I say be careful what you put on your listings. You don't want to kill it. You also don't want to kill the interest to the public, right? But Yeah, you would still have to disclose that, or at least do something like where there's an inspection, right? And maybe at the lawyer's point, maybe the seller agrees to hold back $4,000 to fix the foundation, right? If you want to avoid putting it in that offer. So at least there's some sort of pattern there where you're protected, right? Get the lawyer involved maybe at that point if you're worried.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the listing agent put it on MLS. Later on, I noticed she took it off.
Yeah.
And then she said, put it on the office. Then he kind of phrased it. Because
Right.
Then she understood.
Right.
Like this one we have disclosed, like just
Mhm.
brief. Then
Yeah.
we both tried. We just put it like that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, if you're worried, I might go to the lawyer and I might say to the lawyer, just do a writing between you guys saying that, like, they've disclosed this and whoever's fixing it is holding back some money or something along those lines. Yeah.
For new builds, like I've noticed that some of the new builds don't have things like carry-on warranty or like
Mhm.
they're missing some things because it's like the building company is legitimate, but then they might have not used like legitimate workers or like because they're doing that a lot to cut costs. Like as in this is a development I've noticed like more like from COVID. Like just
That's
since
again,
COVID.
it's a buyer beware thing. Like if you're representing that buyer, you have to make sure you disclose to them, like, this is a builder and he's not he doesn't have Terry on warranty. It's not coming with Terry on warranty, right? And you have to like explain to them the pros and the cons of that.
So
Right.
basically, the situation that I'm referring to, it's like, so everything like sort of went. Like it was like we went back and forth a few times, like the offer was like almost being done and everything. And then at the very, very end, like it's like he added a clause that said like, it doesn't have Terry on warranty, right? So, because the thing is, I didn't even bother to ask because normally, like when it's a new build, like as in no one has lived there before.
Yeah.
It's like you have like it's like you have to have a Terry on thing. Like you automatically get it for the first 7 years and stuff on the foundation. So it's not like it would be illegal to like it's illegal to build a house, like build something without one or something like. I believe, and then, but yeah, and then I almost lost the deal because of that. So
You have to be careful with it for sure. Yeah, but you got to make sure your buyers know what they're buying, right? If you run into something like that, you have to do full disclosure is always best. So another thing I wanted to touch on real quick is one situation I came into. So not only were you disclosing how many offers we're getting in the situation, right? Most people are assuming that we're picking because the price is right, right? Oh, let me give the highest price, then it'll be good, right? So I had a situation at my other office there where we had a RICO complaint come in because someone didn't have the highest price and they won, and they wanted to know why. So they assumed that it was because someone had given a less commission. Okay. Sometimes this does happen. Sometimes the agent might say, look, $950 is my client's max budget because I'm making X amount of dollars. If I can bridge the gap for them, I'll give up maybe $5,000 of my commission, or I'll only take 1.5% instead of 2.5. Okay. This also has to be fully disclosed. So if you've told everybody, okay, this is last round and this is what someone's come through with, and that's what they're winning, and it's not on a price point, you have to call back the agents involved, or you have to page out to them that this is what's happening. Okay. It's not only a price thing. It's not only a number of offers, but it's also a full disclosure if you guys are adjusting the commission, because you have to give the whole thing with RICO. And I'm going to go over a RICO document quick here, is that you have to give everybody a fair shake. So there can be no favoritism. I know we all want to work with, our friends or people in our office or whatever the case may be. But the thing is that even if we're working with each other, I still have to be paging out to everybody what's going on in the background. That's RICO's biggest point of contention when they come in with complaints. Were you fair, and how were you fair? The other thing RICO asks that I've seen very often with complaints is they ask for all the 801s. Okay. So I know that this is a big pitfall for a lot of agents. We all send these 801s. How many of you guys get them back? Right? Nobody gets them back. You're supposed to be getting them back, even if you didn't get your offer accepted, right? So you have to be making sure as a listing agent, if you get 15 of these, that you fill them out properly. Okay. You make sure that you put the time that they sent you the email with the offer, and what time you presented it to your clients, and whether or not it was accepted, signed back, or expired, right? So if you've collected 5 offers, you're going to send 1 back accepted and 4 back expired or declined, right? Okay. Because RICO, that's the first thing they ask for, right? They're gonna say, even before they look for all the offers, where are your 801s? They want to see what's your 801. So I know we've run around collecting 801s like mad people before when I've dealt with other agents' complaints coming in from RICO. They also want to know, you cannot, sorry, 1 second, you can't exaggerate how many offers you have. So even if you're doing a good job and you're paging out, oh, there's 5 offers, but really you only have 3 in hand, you can't do that. Again, they'll ask you for your 801s and they'll ask you for the agreement of purchase and sales. They want proof. So you can't exaggerate the amount to help boost your bidding more and look like you have a lot and boost the competition up. You have to actually only page what you truly have. It has to be a firm and final answer. I have 3 offers, and you have to have 3 801s and 3 agreement of purchase and sales in hand in order to page that out.
And you
Right.
have to save them all?
Yeah, you save them all, put them all in your file, because God forbid anything happens, they're going to be asking for all of that. They ask for your 801s, they ask for your agreement of purchase and sales. So anytime I have an offer come in, sorry, let me just stop the share here. Anytime I have an offer come in, I usually just save it in that file folder, or if it's physically come in, put it in the folder and keep it all together. Because I remember there was this one deal I did, we all collectively got together because one of our agents, we were all friends in the other office. So, you know, there was about 6 of us working on it. We all went and we did a big bidding war for him together, right, on this property, just for the fun of it. And that person came back, one of the agents came back and said they didn't feel there was as many offers as we said there were, because we literally got like 28 offers on the property. And I was like, of course, the paper keeper, and I'm really good at my paperwork. So when the RICO complaint came in, within like an hour or 2, we had everything sent back to them. That's the other thing. They look, RICO, if you take a week to respond to them, they're going to consider that you didn't keep good files or that your documents are fudged. The faster you get back to RICO, the better. So be prepared, right? Always have your files in your folder or in your computer well organized, and just be able to send them a quick something back, right? Yeah, there was 28 offers. Here's all 28 of my 801s and my agreement of purchase and sales. And the RICO dropped the complaint like this in 2 seconds, because they saw like, how can I create that within an hour or 2 and send everything back to them, right? And all of those 6 agents I work with were like, oh my God, this is crazy. That's amazing that you keep everything so well. It's super important to be an organized agent. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, both of you.
You know, like you said, for instance, to keep a record of like all the places that we're showing to our clients and everything, right?
Yeah.
So should we do that with virtual showings as well?
If you do, then keep a virtual folder, you know what I mean? Like it's nothing to just take a quick PDF of what you've shown them, right? I tend to print, because when I'm walking through the property, it's easy for me to pull out my folder, and when they ask me questions, I have the answers to them. Oh, you know, what's the taxes on this property, or how many days on the market it's been? Excuse me. And then what I do is I usually write like the date and time on top. Okay, Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30, I've shown this property. Thursday, May 20th or whatever, right? So my folder is always kind of ready to go if I need to show anything, like if somebody's disputing a BRA or something like that, I can say, no, I've shown them 30 properties. Here's all the dates.
All for showing?
I have them all in my folders. Yeah, for every client, I have a folder.
Yeah.
And like I say, you can do it paperless too. You can just, you know, put a marking on it on your PDF saying Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30, and bring it up on your iPad, right?
With the online showings as well, like, because we book the showings, and
Yeah.
we normally get an email.
You get an
to
email.
confirm. So
Absolutely.
like, what I've been doing is just like, I'll just have a folder for that client, and
Yeah.
I'll just
Put
their
all your
email
confirmations in there.
Yeah, in there.
Yeah, whatever way works for you, that you can prove that you've been working with that person, because if someone's disputing a BRA, you need to bring that up, and you need to bring it up quickly. And if you have to go back and go, oh my God, I showed them 20 now, what properties did I show them? Which confirmations am I looking for? It's a bit of a nightmare, right? So, I mean, that's a good idea. You can save all your confirmations in a folder if you're just doing it virtual showing, like paperless showing with your iPad and keeping that information there. I'm a printer, so I tend to print and write on it, right? So, and take it with me in my folder, but whatever way works for you, just my point is to keep super organized, because you need to give all that information if you guys run into any trouble, but you shouldn't run into any trouble with RICO. Okay, I'm just gonna go. Yeah, no, it's okay, go on.
So I have a question, like.
For sure.
normally When there's offer presentation, we always keep the 801, right?
Right,
So in the offer, we give them back to the agents.
yes,
Yes, so we keep the 801.
Yeah.
Even at the first time itself, we can keep it, right? Because second time, if they don't come, right, the 801.
yeah, a lot of times they also don't send for the improved offer for a sign Mac, but it's okay. As long as you have the initial, then they sent it to you, when you received it, when you presented it, and whether or not it was accepted or rejected, and send it back to them.
Yeah, but nowadays, those days, they used to come in person, right? So
Yeah.
we will keep the 801. But the question is sometimes when we are getting through email,
Mm-hmm.
right? So some people say, oh, my clients are available at 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
right? We will give you the signed one later on, and they will just send the name and the details.
And the
So
801. Yeah.
801, we can do that.
Absolutely. So this is what I was talking about when you're talking about winning a bid situation. Don't send your offer, only send your 801. So that's acceptable if that's all you're getting from other agents, because it's
But
like a
without
game
the
of poker. They're trying to keep their, sorry,
Without the signature.
without the signature. Oh, it has to have their client signature on it. Because their client has to, because how do you know that they're not just going to back out? You've now paged one offer registered, but you don't actually have anything in hand, because then they decide not to send it, but it doesn't have their client signature, so it holds no weight. It has to be a signed 801 for sure from their clients. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but 801, you talk about 3 pages, only 1 page, 101, 801.
No, just one page, the 801. I was talking about just the different parts to sign on it.
Different parts.
So you have to have the signed 801 for them to register it.
Yeah.
And then you have to put on it when you receive the offer,
Okay.
when you presented it to your client, and what was the result of that: accepted, expired, declined, whatever it is on your 801. And you have to send that back to the other agent. That's like the point of it, to show that you presented it. And you should be asking for them back if you're the buyer agent, because you want to prove to your client as well that you presented the offer, right? Because some of them might go, hey, how did I lose by $2,000? Did you even send my offer in? You know what I mean? Like, I had a better closing date or something like that. You want to say, no, here's the 801. They presented it and it was rejected. It was a rejected
And
offer.
what if they don't give it to you?
Yeah.
You have to ask them.
So if I ask you and you don't give it to me,
It's the same as if like I'm chasing paperwork for anything else. You know what I mean? Sometimes they don't give me my Schedule B or something. You have to. It's part of your paperwork that you should be chasing. It's just as important as any other part of the offer, right? So you should say, hey, can I have my 801 back? My client's asking. I just want to show them what time you presented it and whether it was rejected or what happened with it. They're asking
Usually
me.
they'll give it to you,
Mhm.
you ask for it, 'cause there's no reason for why they're not giving it to you.
no, because I had an offer and that person didn't even do it. I asked, like, what happened?
Mhm.
Fully ignored.
Yeah, lots of people do. You have to chase. I just had to chase an agent for what, like a week and a half, 2 weeks. We did the agreement of lease and she hadn't given me the standard form of lease now that it's all done. And we literally chased her for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And we're thinking it's all done. I just need like one signature on the standard form of lease. You have to chase. It's for any paperwork.
Yeah,
Some
the
people
one
don't
that
care
you
once
gave
it's
it,
done.
It didn't have been presented.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're worried. Did they present it? That you want proof for your client, right? You should say my client complained to my broker of record. Always hide behind your broker of record if you can. Say
I called
my
the
client
office.
complained to the
They
broker.
didn't do nothing. When I called the office,
Yeah.
they're like, called Rico.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I would tell the agent, look, my client's complaining to my broker of record and I need my 801 back. They want proof that you presented the offer. What's up?
If they're withholding the 801, or for some reason, like they don't wanna give it to you or whatever, can you send it to the other party to sign, like through DocuSign or something?
To their client?
Yeah.
I don't know. First of all, I don't know how you get their,
Emails
if
and
you
stuff,
don't-
right?
well, if you don't have their client's information or their email, it'd be hard. But I wouldn't communicate and step on other people's toes. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be
Well,
approaching
I
other
mean,
people's clients, right?
according to her, it's like, you know, she tried to get
Yeah.
this
But
guy
I
to
would not
send
have
her
the
the-
information.
Yeah.
Normally, like the offer has the other parties at least like an email or something, or like.
No, it doesn't
maybe
have their
the-
client's email. It has the agent's email.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But normally they say we can't communicate with the other client.
Yeah, you
We're
can't
not
be
supposed to.
communicating with
We're
other
not
people's.
supposed to, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed to also receive the 801.
Yeah.
One thing we can do is we can back and forth, we can write to the agent and we can keep those records. But because they always say, right, even at school, we can't, if a child keeps us, we can't sit back and go and say, because both parties are then in trouble. So if we try to write to them, right, then if they bring that to you, then you are also guilty, right? So I wouldn't do that personally. We can't go and communicate with their clients. Because
So-
even
so-
when we are going for showing, they say we can't talk to the seller.
Yeah, so keep the record of how, when you're asking the other agent.
Always keep, I have been sending back and forth like reminders,
Yeah.
reminding you,
That
reminding,
way,
I
if
will keep
Rico
that.
Any kind of
asks you,
paper
then you
trail
have,
where you
okay,
can
I tried
prove
to
that you've been
back,
asking it. Yeah.
They get it.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Or just call the broker of record, say your agent is not providing the
So
801.
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, you can do that.
Who's the other person that you? who's
Broker of
the-
record,
okay,
broker of
so-
record, because they're supposed to be mandating that the
Right.
office is complying to RICO standards, right? So if somebody's not complying, then that's the route you can
In
take,
my
right?
situation, even he was not helpful.
Oh,
So
no.
he's like, complain to Rico. I came here like what happened?
Oh my goodness. Who says complain to Rico? That's not a very good broker of record. Any broker of record hears Rico and runs a mile. Like, I don't know who would suggest for you to go to Rico. That's odd. Crazy.
Salesperson, I said, your own office telling you to complain about it.
That is crazy. I've never heard that. You'll have to tell me what brokerage that is after. Sure, sure. What's up?
So the offer we sending normally is take like 24 hours, the value time. If possible, more than 24 hours we can give.
It depends all what they're asking. So for instance, if it's something that's like, 4 children are deciding because it's an estate sale and it has to go through the lawyers or something, so they all agree, they might need 48 hours, you know what I mean? Very often I see if it's like a bank sale, like a foreclosure, they ask for, 2-3 days, because again, that has to go through the appropriate people at the bank and through their lawyers and stuff like that. If they're asking for a lot of time and it's just a regular sale, I usually question why, because everything is available over email, something, or e-signature right now. So even if they're out of country and there's a time difference for, at most 12 hours apart, it should be fine in a 24-hour turnaround.
And then change the date, always we can send the form for them and then they can initial or whatever, then send back like a.
Exactly.
Possible. But how many days we can do that maximum? If they are not like-
Exactly. That's the thing. You know what I mean? And I always question, like, why are they holding on to it unless there's a really good reason? Like I say,
24 hours,
foreclosure.
sometimes later, they
Yeah.
Then again, they send it, get a sign and they get.
If it's just a regular sale, there's nobody that's unreachable within a 24-hour
Yeah,
period,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Especially now with technology these days, like email and
Like
e-signature.
email,
So
scanner
I would
program.
question whether they're just holding on to it and dragging you out to see
Yeah.
if they can get another better offer
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
meantime. So unless it's like a special situation like estate sales or foreclosure, stuff like that, where they need a little extra time, I would say no. Then, you let us know when you're ready for us to submit our offer again. We're withdrawing it. It's expired, because you're also holding your client up in that deal, right? So
That's how it-
the other thing I wanted to mention is don't forget your Schedule Bs and your Schedule Cs. If the buyer agent has sent you an offer and they haven't gone to your listing and printed it off, make sure you print it off, because we remember that Schedule A coming from them protects their client. They're putting in clauses to protect their client and conditions that protect their client. Schedule B is written from the office to protect you, right, against mistakes in measurement, interest on their deposits, all different stuff like that. So, and the Schedule C is dealing with a lot of COVID clauses right now for closings. So make sure that if they don't include that, you put their offer together. And if you're sending it back to them, you put your Schedule B and C in there and send it back to them with your client's signature. And you're including that for your offer. That's another thing I see a lot of times. And then, a couple days later, they're chasing me for the Schedule B or C from their office, right? So make sure if you're the listing agent, you're checking it. Yes, Julie.
Yeah, just to say to Bhaskar's question,
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize,
Mhm.
normally, even though it's 24 hours, normally if you're sending an offer, just give the tonight date, don't ask them. Unless they have mentioned they are abroad and all that.
Mhm, mhm.
Because what happens is even three shared ones, the other agents, they use us, right? The 24 hours we
That's what
try
I'm
to
saying.
put it, they use us. And what they bring multiple offer situation. And I know another Oshawa big agent, he always writes 72 hours revocable,
No.
and then he got 13 offers during that time, right? So don't ask them, always just send it,
send it.
10
Midnight.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12, just 10.
And unless
just
there's
to
a
make
good-
rush.
Yeah. And unless there's a good reason, I just always tell the listing agent, because it's like I say, game of poker. I'm calling your bluff. So you call me back and you say, midnight tonight, I need 72 hours.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, well, no problem. Then if your client, we'll see if we come back. My client has other properties they want to put an offer in on. Like, why are you trying to draw 72 hours out of me on just a regular straight residential sale? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, right? It's just like Julie's saying, to like draw those 13, 14 other offers out over the next couple days. Cause you can say, I've got one, I've got two, and it pulls everybody out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't give them that time. And like, you're trying to work for your client, give them a strong offer and say, no, midnight. Why do you need more? Right? Oh, I can't get, my client works nights and they don't get off till noon tomorrow. Okay, no problem. Then have them initial and send it back to me if they're accepting my offer.
AM, PM also very important. I think.
AM, PM is a big thing. People get it mixed up.
So I send to PM after it's allocated time.
There is a huge reason why real estate offers say 11:59,
Yeah,
because everybody gets confused with that AM, PM. It's funny, right?
yeah.
So 11:59 PM, that's a natural thing you see because people are mixing up that 12 AM, PM all the time. So it just became a thing with this 11:59, right? Okay, we have a short time left. I just wanted to go over, if you go on the RICO site, you can read this, or I can send you guys the PDF. I just wanted to go over here, how RICO says, handling the offer presentation process is essential. Providing interested buyers a fair chance to put in an offer or improve their offer in a multiple offer situation is key to providing the best service to our seller clients, right? Mishandling the offer process can have serious consequences. A recent fine of $10,000 provides a good example. So somebody did a bidding war, they mishandled it, and they got fined $10,000. So RICO will fine you, suspend your license, revoke your license, depending on if it's your first, second, third, or if you have a pattern or how bad whatever you did was, right? So I'm just going to read over the sequence of events. Okay. So registrant representative A listed the property with a note indicating a delayed offer presentation, meaning that the representative would hold all offers and present them to the seller at a specific date and time. A delayed offer presentation requires written notice from the seller. So again, we touched on this a little bit when I was talking about when you're listing the property, we should be writing a note in there saying that we're not accepting offers as per seller. I know we put that in when we load the listing, but you also need paper proof of that with your client signing it, right? The listing indicated that all offers had to be registered by February 24th at 5 p.m. Register an offer means the buyer of the representative has confirmed with the listing brokerage that they have an offer to submit. So that's why I'm saying 801 is accepted. Is you don't have to send your whole offer. It's just saying that you have an offer to submit. This is why the 801 came into play, because people didn't want to send their offers to the last minute, right? The note said that the seller reserved the right to consider preemptive offer, known as a bully offer, at any time. Representative A showed the property to his own buyer client and prepared an offer for seller's consideration. A buyer's representative, we'll refer to as Representative B, contacted Representative A and set up a viewing appointment for February 19th. In total, there were 5 viewing appointments scheduled for February 19th. Representative A did not advise Representative B that an offer had already been received from his own buyer client. Representative B made a follow-up call to Representative A for more information about the property and left a voicemail. Representative A did not return the phone call. Representative B later received a message that the property had been sold and that the appointment for February 19th had been canceled. Okay, so here's RICO's problem with everything that this agent did. You failed to notify all buyers who expressed an interest in the property that an offer was registered on the property and that an offer was from his own buyer client. So I forgot to mention this as well. When you're paging out, you also have to say whether or not you have your own offer in. And if that also includes coming from our office. Do you know what I mean? You have to say, okay, yeah, there's 5 offers in, one's from me, one's from an agent in my office, right? Because people feel like that is unfair when that happens if you don't disclose it, right? Because they think that we favor it, even though, you might have the best offer. Like if Bhaskaran sends me something and he might have legitimately the best offer, they're going to feel I favored him because he's in my office and we might be friends, right? But you have to notify everybody who expressed interest in the property. So this is really key. I've had a lot of agents come to me and say, I don't know why they're upset. They didn't even show the property yet, but it doesn't matter. They have a booked appointment. They themselves, their clients have expressed interest in the property. They can't see it until February 19th. And now they've just been told it's sold when they didn't even realize there was an offer in at the time of booking the appointment, right? So you have to notify everybody. Failing to respond to Representative B's voicemail within a reasonable time. So I know we've all come across it. I've already talked to some of you guys about it, how you're calling and calling and calling agents and they're just not picking up the phone and answering. This is unacceptable to RICO. We can't ignore people, no matter how annoying or how much they're yelling or how much they're like anxious or bugging you because their client really wants the property. You have to be answering your phone and returning phone calls within a reasonable time. We have to be fair to our colleagues is what RICO considers, right? And you will get disciplined if you're not. Failing to notify Representative B that a written offer had been registered or received for the property at the time they were making an appointment to view the property the following morning. So very often we receive offers and people are still booking appointments because they don't know. It's not posted. It's not sold conditional yet. At the very point of time people call, and people aren't calling us directly for an appointment. It usually goes to the office. I walk to the reception and I say, could you please tell them sold conditional still showing or one offer received still showing. So even though you haven't accepted one or you haven't, gone through, maybe you haven't presented it to your client yet, you still have to disclose it. Okay, you have to say one offer received still showing. You can give that agent an option to tell their client and see if they still want to view the property and waste their time, right? Yes.
When you said like we can't ignore people, but and within a reasonable, like like sometimes it's like you're busy and then you text them like, oh, I'll call you back later, and then you forget. Or
Then you
something like
forget, right? Exactly. But the thing is
But, like,
that
does that still count? Like, as in, because you texted them saying like, "Hey, I'm busy." Like, does that count that you're not ignoring them? At least you're giving them like you're answering them. Like, you're not.
yeah, but like the thing is that if they're actively wanting to send you an offer or they're calling you about a listing and you're negotiating an offer in the background, to Rico, that looks suspect, right? So you need to be,
I thought you meant just like in general when they have
in
questions. or something.
general, Rico's in place and Reba's in place to give us good business practice. They're ensuring us, so they want to ensure that they're good business practice in there. We all know there's lots of people in the field who are, no, if people are calling at midnight, you don't have to answer. I know that's
Like,
not,
not for an offer, just
No.
like for an inquiry or something.
but should anything happen, they'll also look not only to how you went by the rules, but how your business conduct was. So if it's suspect and you're not responding to this person who wants to send you an offer and you have your own offer in, it truly looks like you're ignoring them. So it doesn't look like good business practice, right? That's why this person ended up getting fined, right?
But this business, that's 24 hours after.
24 hours, I know,
That's
most
why
of
I
the
was
time.
asking, because it's like, what if someone's calling, people do call me at random times.
People
being like,
call?
oh, is this still available or something, like, it's
Yeah.
like, I feel like I can answer that the next morning.
Honestly,
like,
in my mind, there's no like time limit for my phone, which is probably a bad thing. But as a real estate agent, you guys all understand it rings at 1 and I'm awake, I'll probably answer it. You know what I mean? So
You don't know what's the other side problem.
it might be business, right? You're excited, your phone is ringing, right? And then failing to obtain written instruction from his client to review offers earlier than the date on the listing. Okay, so you can put in your offer, seller reserves the right to accept the preemptive offer, but if you get it, you have to page it out. Another thing I know we were just chatting about a couple weeks ago, you cannot put without notice. So I've seen that in some listings where it says seller reserves the right to accept a preemptive offer without notice. You can't put that because Rico was mandating that we notify everybody. So if you have that in your listing, they're going to slap you on the wrist too. Like, even if you notified everybody, but you put without notice on your listing, don't put it. And don't forget, they can look back in the history. So I know people, like we were talking just now about somebody editing their listing and they deleted, the foundation thing, right? That's fine for the bank because they can't look back in the history. But if anything were to happen with Rico, they can go back and they can see every little change that we made in the listing. You guys know how to check the history, right? So it shows the original listing and then it shows whether we changed the time, the date, something in the description, anything, a measurement. So you can't go back and fix your mistake and go, oh, nobody will know about it. Everything is date and time stamped in there when you did it and who made that change. Whether it's reception making the change for you, if you called in and asked them, oh, change the price, whether it's you, Sadia, like logging in and doing it yourself, it shows who made that change, right? So it's hard to hide from Rico when it comes to stuff like this. You have to make sure everything's reduced to writing. They should really put a section on the listing agreement. I know that none of us usually add that Schedule A. If I write in anything about seller's direction on the thing, it's usually just something I write in, handwrite somewhere on there and get them to initial it. But really and truly, it's just good to just attach a Schedule A to your listing agreement and say, seller would like me to hold offers on February 24th at 5 p.m. Right? And they'll look at preemptive offers if they're over $1 million, right? But the thing is that regardless, if even my client has said to me, look, don't show me an offer unless it's over $1 million. If they get something for 800,000, as much as I think that it sucks and I got to present it to them and they might be like, what are you talking about, right? I always call them and I say, look, don't shoot the messenger. It's my duty as your agent. I'm legally bound to present every offer to you, right? So you cannot be the judge when it comes in going, oh, I know my client won't accept that. You cannot be the judge of that. You have to present everything. So I just usually say, okay, no, I just sent you a quick email. You don't even have to open it. Here's the details. It's really low. It's 800 and they're closing in 6 months. And I know you're not going to accept it. It's just my duty to notify you that there's an offer. Okay. So does anybody have any questions about all of that so far? Has anybody come across something that they got into trouble for in their listing? Nothing? So I think I don't know if I've told you guys a story already, but I had a bidding war for this old man's house. His wife had passed away. He was moving in with his kids and he had lived there for 45 years, right? Just here at Brimley and Lawrence. And we had a bid situation. Everybody, of course, it wasn't COVID times. This was a few years ago and everybody's in the driveway and they're coming in and out and in and out. And there was an offer that was about $10,000. I think it was probably $8,000 to tell you the truth, $8,000 less than the highest offer. And the guy said to me, he says, I just like that family. I think they're nice. He says, the people next door will like them. I think they were like a Chinese family, and there was a Chinese family living next door to this gentleman. And he said, I think they'll get along. And I've been in this neighborhood for so long. And I think the other person is just going to come in and renovate it. And I don't really feel like that's something, I want to give it to the family. So I said, sure, no problem. So we accepted the offer, right? The agent who had the highest offer actually physically came to the house, kicked up a storm in the foyer, stormed off, sent in a big RICO complaint that there was something, shady going on. Maybe we ditched commission, don't know why I favored this other person. Maybe I knew this agent, he was my friend. But the thing is that we had everything in place. We had 801s in place. And then my seller wrote a little note. So if you've done nothing wrong, you can get your clients to help you if you get into trouble with RICO as well. He wrote a little note just saying, it was my choice. My agent did nothing wrong. And I just wanted to give it to this family because I thought it'd be good for the neighborhood. I've lived here, I brought up my family in this neighborhood. And he said, in fact, the other agent was wrong and came in, and here we talk about business conduct, was yelling in my foyer. And he's an old gentleman, and it was about 11:30 at night. And because he had written that in his email, the other agent got a RICO complaint on him. You know what I mean? Because we're talking about business conduct here. You can't just go flying off the handle and yelling at your clients and kicking up a scene. So anyways, that's a good example where it's seller's choice. And as long as you're not doing anything underhanded, like I say, picking through 15 offers and going, my client won't want to see those. I'll want to pick these ones because they're the highest. It's not always true. Maybe he wants to see that second or third runner up for different reasons. Like he wants to give it to that family, or he likes their closing date better. So you need your clients to back you up. You need to be on the same page with them when you're doing that in the middle of the offer presentation. Yeah.
And a lot of the times, I think it's like, if you show them the lesser offers, they'll see how much better the better offers are, or else they'll just think, oh, that's just the normal price. Like everyone's just giving us really high offers. Then if you show them everything, they'll be like, oh, okay, there's some low ones. That means these ones it'll emphasize the high offer.
And you can't be the judge of that. Just last week when we were selling Pegasus, last week or week before, I'm losing my dates here. We got 5 offers in. The top 3 came back. They decided they'll come back. Of the top 3, there was quite a big gap. So the top 2 were pretty close. The third one was a good like $160,000 less. And we thought, okay, not a big contender. We got the second round in. The third offer that was so low came back and blew the top two out of the water. They came up like $164,000 all of a sudden, because we told them, we said, I said, look, we're just taking the top 3. We're going to do a second round, and you guys can come back, but you're not the top one, and you're not the middle one, and you're off by a lot. Right. And we thought, oh, they're not going to come back. And the very top person only came up 13,000. The second guy stayed where he was, his client wanted to stay, and the third guy came up the 164,000 and won the bidding war, right? So you can't judge for your clients what's going to happen. You have to completely go by their direction and what they want to do. Even though you're like, nah, this offer that's never going to come up, it's so low. We were just blown away because really and truly we thought this person's not going to win, right? But they came back with their clients because their clients really wanted it, I guess, right? So. But if you guys are unsure, like I always say, how to deal with your bidding situation, how to navigate it, how to throw up your listing, even if you're here and you want me to stick around, if it's your first bidding war and you're doing it on the computer, I don't mind. We'll stick around for a couple hours and have fun. I always enjoy a good competitive bidding war. I don't mind helping you guys just to make sure you walk through the process and you know what you're doing, right? If you're unsure of anything, you guys can always call me, text me anytime, right?
And also,
yeah.
One thing I just wanted to say, added to that, like always listen to the listing agents, what he says. Yes. Listen to what he says carefully. Because some situation, I have been telling them to buyers, they ignore, right? Because one instant, where I put the house for sale, right? I was really trying to help one agent. She was nice and she wanted to get the business. And the offer presentation is today evening at 7. Right. She put it irrevocable in the morning, 11:59 a.m. And she's asking me, go and get the signature. Go and I said 12 o'clock. And she's sending at 12:45 in the morning. I said within 15 minutes, I can't get it. Yeah. So you have to give a more irrevocable time. I will see which one is fair. And she started accusing me saying, I'm going to show the favor to the other agent. She told, but I was feeling for her.
Mhm.
But the moment she started accusing me, I'm trying to help her,
Yeah.
right? Within 15 minutes, I can't get the seller signature.
Mhm.
Give me more time.
Mhm.
And she's trying to accusing me.
Mhm.
I thought, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm done with her.
Yeah.
So always listen what the listing agent says.
Yeah.
Right? Be fair to them. You know, then only we can win the deal rather accusing them.
Mhm.
See that there's a like she's doing something
Mhm.
where I cannot do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
15 minutes you can't get the seller signature.
You have to be reasonable,
Yeah.
right? You have to go, it's a fine line you have to draw between being reasonable and if you're giving that agent too much time, right? Because sometimes they're just dragging it out to hopefully get another offer or to use your offer against you. So it's a fine line. If they have a good reason, I have people say, oh, my client's going to sleep. And I'm like, in the middle of a bidding war? Like, how, I know that, you know, everybody's got to sleep, but tonight's kind of a special night. You're trying to buy a house. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to bed at 11 o'clock? I know it's late, but you know, you've got to sign it. Sorry. Right. So, definitely do that. Like I say, there's a whole bunch of other tips and tricks you can use. You guys can talk again. Like I say, I wanted to focus this one more on the listing agent because I know the last one I did a bit of multiple about multiple offers was more how to win it from the buyer side. But anything you guys need help with, you just call me anytime, right?
One more question.
Yeah, for sure.
This question I can ask you, but related more.
No worries.
So the conditional mortgage,
Yes.
how many days maximum? 1 week or how many days maximum?
I would question if somebody puts more than 5. 3 to 5 is reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Because they should be already working. They shouldn't be something new that they're going to run around and try and get. They should already be working with their agent. Their agent should have all the documents, and they should pretty much only just be waiting to get that final approval with the agreement of purchase and sale, right? If not, then as far as I'm concerned, your buyer's not prepared, right?
Minimum 3 to 5 days.
3 to 5 business days is reasonable for me. If they need more, I always question why, right? Why? Because it makes me worried that they haven't started the process yet necessarily, right? Exactly. And I don't want to hold my client up, my seller, in a deal for 2 weeks because your guy is running around looking for a mortgage. Like, you should be making sure that your clients are organized and prepared and pre-qualified, and they already have all their documents into the mortgage guy, and we have a good amount that we know is going to get approved. So that last little piece is only the agreement of purchase and sale for the bank, so they're getting approved, right?
And then I say 50,000, 100,000, maybe for the down payment. If it's not mortgage approved,
Mhm.
conditional mortgage,
Mhm.
then they give all the balance back or they direct anything.
No, it all goes back. The only time you're losing deposits is if you back out on firm deals. If it's conditional, they get the whole deposit back. Yeah, because it was on a condition,
Yeah.
right? So
They don't charge any service fee, nothing.
no. No worries.
And the other question,
Yeah,
I found out, maybe I took the deal, but I don't know if it's right or wrong.
okay,
The agreement to lease,
yes,
form 400,
okay,
supposed to be 107 pages.
okay,
But I found other form print out,
Uh-huh.
1 of 6 only.
okay. Well,
So-
let me come and look. I'll help you after that. I'll just let all these people online
for
here.
General, for everybody, in case they
For
miss,
sure.
7 form is the missing. So
Okay.
this is already saying 107 here.
I never noticed that, and I just recently did a lease, so I'll have to look at your form and see for sure.
106 only there.
Okay.
Both from Ontario, Toronto, or different both?
I don't know, I put out here.
Anyways, everybody online there, you can just call me if you need me. And as usual, I'll send a video of this out so you guys can watch it back. And good luck this week. Make some good business. Let's get more listings.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.